threw the ball to first base, thinking it was in fair play. Chapman, in immense pain, stumbled to take his base, but collapsed.
Ray Chapman's story is one of the most heartbreaking in baseball history. On August 16, 1920, the Cleveland Indians shortstop faced Yankees pitcher Carl Mays in New York, where, in the fading light and using a scuffed, hard-to-see ball, he was struck in the head and tragically passed away the next day, the only MLB player to die from an on-field injury. His death shocked fans and players alike, leading to significant rule changes, such as replacing dirty balls to ensure visibility, a practice that ultimately brought about the clean ball era. But before we proceed, please subscribe to the channel. On August 16, 1920, baseball experienced one of its saddest days. Ray Chapman, the Cleveland Indians' beloved shortstop, stepped up to bat against the New York Yankees at the iconic Polo Grounds in New York City. It seemed like an ordinary summer day for fans and players alike, until everything changed in a single, tragic moment. The Yankees' Carl Mays was on the mound. Known for his unique submarine pitching style, Mays threw from a low sidearm angle, making his pitches tricky to follow, especially in the dimming evening light. Back then, clean white baseballs weren't standard. Pitchers often dirtied them up, using soil, licorice, tobacco juice, anything to scuff the ball's surface and add movement. By late innings, those balls were dark, misshapen, and tough to see. For Chapman, facing one of those pitches would be life-changing. As Mays released the pitch, witnesses said Chapman didn't even flinch. He didn't see it coming. In an instant, the ball struck his head with a chilling crack that some players mistook for a hit off the bat. Mays, thinking it was a foul, calmly fielded it and threw it to first. But as soon as he did, the horror set in. The home plate umpire, Tommy Connolly, saw blood trickling from Chapman's ear and quickly called for help. Teammates and rivals alike rushed to his side, with Tris Speaker leading the way. Chapman, trying to stand, muttered some final words. "I'm all right. Tell Mays not to worry. Ring Katie's ring." In those last moments, his thoughts were of his wife, Katie, back in Cleveland, and expecting their first child. It was a heart-wrenching reminder of the family and life he was leaving behind. Chapman was rushed to St. Lawrence Hospital nearby, but the damage was too extensive. Emergency surgery couldn't save him, and he passed away early the next morning. Katie, devastated, arrived later only to learn that her husband was gone. Cleveland grieved with her, and thousands came to his funeral to honor the man who'd left such a mark on their hearts. That season, his teammates wore black armbands in his memory, finding strength in their grief, and went on to win the 1920 World Series, dedicating their victory to their fallen friend. Chapman's passing led to real changes in baseball. The league began replacing dirty, damaged balls more frequently, a step toward making the game safer. He remains the only MLB player to die from an on-field injury, a somber reminder of the risks players faced. After Chapman's tragic death, emotions were running high among Cleveland's players, and understandably, some were bitter toward Carl Mays, the Yankees pitcher who threw the fatal pitch. Tensions were palpable, and the grief was heavy. But Cleveland's manager, Tris Speaker, quickly recognized that holding on to this anger wouldn't help anyone, neither his team nor the game they loved. In a call with Colonel T.L. Houston, one of the Yankees' part owners, Speaker assured him they do their best to keep any resentment in check. "It's our responsibility," he said, "not only as players but as stewards of the game, to let go of any bitterness." For Speaker, honoring Chapman's memory meant putting aside the anger and focusing on moving forward. He wanted his team to stay professional, respectful, and united, believing that baseball should bring people together, not drive them apart. In those raw, painful days, some fans and players called for Mays to be banned from baseball or even prosecuted, but no charges were ever filed. And while people wondered if Mays felt remorse, he publicly expressed how deeply he regretted what had happened, calling Chapman's death the most regrettable incident of my baseball career. "I would give anything if I could undo what has happened," he added, acknowledging the profound respect he had for Chapman. To cope with his own grief and guilt, Mays took a 10-day break from baseball and skipped the Yankees' next road trip to Cleveland, a city that now held painful memories. This break showed that even a fierce competitor like Mays needed time to process such a heartbreaking loss. His decision highlighted how sports, especially during tragic moments, isn't just about winning or losing, it's about humanity and coming to terms with shared pain. For both Mays and the Cleveland team, this was a moment that stretched far beyond baseball, leaving a lasting impact on everyone involved. Chapman's tragic death left a mark on baseball that went beyond grief. It pushed the league to make some big safety changes that shaped the game we know today. After that heartbreaking day, baseball officials realized they had to start thinking about player safety in ways they hadn't before. One of the first things they did was create a rule to keep the baseballs clean. Up until then, pitchers had all kinds of tricks, scuffing and even spitting on the ball to make it harder to hit, but it also made it tough to see. After Chapman's accident, the league put an end to this by requiring umpires to replace any dirty or damaged balls to ensure hitters could actually see what was coming at them. The league also banned spitball right after the 1920 season, a change that was both about safety and sanitation. While some pitchers were initially allowed to keep using it, the ban eventually took hold across the board, all in the name of protecting players. Chapman's story was also one of the key reasons people began advocating for batting helmets. For years, his memory was invoked in the push for head protection, but it took over 3 decades for helmets to finally become mandatory. Change was slow, and it's painful to think that, for many years, players still face the same dangers Chapman had. Yet when helmets became a permanent part of the game, it was a fitting tribute to Chapman, putting player safety at the forefront. The changes sparked by one tragic moment ultimately transformed baseball, showing that safety matters in a game that's not just about stats and scores, but about a community that learns and grows. Chapman's legacy is a reminder that every step taken to protect players is one worth taking. Chapman burst onto the major league scene in 1912 when he joined the Cleveland team, known back then as the Naps, and from the get-go, he was someone to watch. By 1918, he was leading the American League in runs scored and walks, showing his knack for getting on base and making things happen for his team. One of the things that set Chapman apart was his bunting. It's rare to find players who can consistently sacrifice themselves to advance a teammate, but Chapman did it so well that he still ranks 6th on the all-time list for sacrifice hits. In 1917, he set a single-season record with 67 sacrifices, a number that only a few players have come close to since, and among right-handed batters, only Stuffy McInnes managed more. Beyond his bunting, he was a defensive star, once leading the league in assists and showing his skill as a shortstop. Chapman's talents weren't limited to defense, though. He could hit too, batting .300 or better in 3 separate seasons, an impressive feat in any era. And let's talk about his speed. Chapman had wheels and wasn't afraid to use them, leading the team in stolen bases 4 times. In 1917, he stole a remarkable 52 bases, a record that stood untouched for the Indians until 1980. By 1920, Chapman was playing as well as ever, hitting .303 with 97 runs scored, and even Ty Cobb, a legendary competitor known for his intensity, considered him a friend. But off the field, there were hints that Chapman was at a turning point in his life. Just before the season began, he married Kathleen Daly, the daughter of a prominent Cleveland businessman. People began to wonder if he might step away from baseball to focus on the family business and start his own family. Fans were left asking, would he have broken more records? Would he have added more runs to his tally? We'll never know, and that's one of the hardest parts of his story. In memory of Ray Chapman, fans came together to create a tribute that would forever honor his legacy. Through their heartfelt donations, they funded a beautiful bronze plaque, a permanent reminder of the impact Chapman had on the game and the people who loved him. This plaque was originally hung at League Park, Cleveland's historic baseball venue, which holds so many memories for fans and players alike. For years, it was a cherished fixture at the stadium, a spot for fans to pause and remember the Cleveland shortstop whose life and career had left such an impression. Then in 1946, when the Indians moved to Cleveland Stadium, the plaque was carefully transferred as well. It was important that Chapman's legacy continue to be celebrated in the heart of Cleveland baseball, where countless games were played and where fans still gathered to cheer on their team. For decades, it remained a part of the stadium, standing as a tribute to Chapman and as a connection to Cleveland's history. But then, in the early 1970s, something strange happened. The plaque vanished. No one quite knew why or where it went. Its removal became an enduring mystery, and fans were left wondering what could have happened to this important tribute. It was a disappointing loss for those who wanted to keep Chapman's memory alive for generations of fans. Fortunately, after years of uncertainty, the story took a turn in 2007. The plaque was refurbished, beautifully restored to its original glory, and given a new home in Progressive Fields Heritage Park, a spot dedicated to honoring the rich history of Cleveland baseball. Heritage Park itself is a special place, filled with exhibits that showcase the team's legacy and the players who made lasting contributions over the years. By returning Chapman's plaque to a place where fans could once again see it, the team recognized his importance to Cleveland baseball and ensured his memory memory would be preserved for the future. Adding to this tribute, Chapman was inducted into the Cleveland Indians Hall of Fame in 2006. This induction held particular significance, as it was the team's first new class of inductees since 1972. It was a huge moment for fans who had long hoped to see Chapman officially celebrated alongside other legends of the game. His induction underscored just how important he was, not only to Cleveland, but also to baseball history as a whole. But Chapman's legacy doesn't stop there. Back in his hometown of Beaver Dam, Kentucky, a baseball field was dedicated in his name. This field now serves as a reminder of Chapman's roots, a place where young players can gather, learn the game, and draw inspiration from the story of a local hero who rose to the heights of the major leagues. It's a fitting tribute, allowing Chapman's legacy to inspire future players in the very community where his love for the game began. Through these tributes and honors, Chapman's memory continues to live on. Fans, players, and entire communities remember him, not only for his skill on the field, but also for the friendships he built and the character he showed. His legacy shines brightly as a reminder of the player he was and the impact he had on the game. Today, his story inspires countless young players and remains a cherished piece of baseball's history. Well, that brings us to the end of today's video. Make sure to subscribe to Baseball Icons so that you never miss an update.
Gambled and chased women and drank some more. And he managed to do all of it while still finishing with the 4th highest career batting average in MLB history.
Did you know that one of baseball's earliest legends, Big Ed Delahanty, met a mysterious and tragic end at just 35? Imagine this, a powerhouse hitter, celebrated for his strength and skill, gone far too soon under circumstances that still leave people puzzled. Some say he stumbled into the Niagara River, others believe he was swept over the falls, but no one knows exactly what happened. Before we dive in any further, please subscribe to the channel. Ever heard of baseball's most haunting mystery, the tragic end of Big Ed Delahanty? His death in July 1903 is still one of sports history's darkest unsolved tales. Here's how it went down. It was a summer night, and Delahanty, one of baseball's first true power hitters, was on a train headed from Detroit to New York. He'd had a rough evening, downing 5 whiskeys and getting more and more unruly as the night went on. By the time he started waving a straight razor and threatening passengers, the conductor had had enough. The train stopped on the International Railway Bridge, which spans Buffalo, New York, to Fort Erie, Canada, and they kicked Delahanty off. That's where things take an eerie turn. Alone, possibly intoxicated, he began to cross the bridge. Witnesses say he was shouting about death as he walked along the dark, narrow path high above the river. Then he vanished. No one saw what happened next. Did he slip and fall? Did he jump? By the time anyone could search, it was too late. 2 weeks later, Delahanty's body was found at the bottom of Niagara Falls, a chilling and tragic end to one of baseball's brightest stars. The mystery only deepens. Some say it was a tragic accident, others suggest he chose to jump, weighed down by personal troubles, and some even claim foul play. Witnesses reported a shadowy figure tailing Delahanty earlier that night. Was he robbed? Maybe even murdered? Historian Mike Sowell explored every detail of that night in his book, July 2nd, 1903, The Mysterious Death of Big Ed Delahanty, examining the tangled web of rumors and strange accounts. Did Delahanty stumble, lose his balance, or was he pushed? To this day, no one truly knows what happened to Big Ed on that dark bridge above the roaring Niagara. What we do know is his death cast a long-lasting shadow over baseball, leaving us with one of the sport's most chilling mysteries. Imagine growing up in Cleveland, Ohio, with an undeniable knack for baseball that would take you all the way to the big leagues, and not just as any player, but as one of the game's earliest legends. That's the story of Ed Delahanty. Big Ed, as he'd later be known, was born in Cleveland, and while he may have gone to Central High School and even spent some time at St. Joseph's College, his heart was always on the baseball diamond. Early on, he played for the Cleveland Shamrocks, a local semi-pro team, where his skills as a right-handed hitter started catching serious attention. With a swing that could send the ball flying, it didn't take long for people to realize Ed wasn't just any ball player, he was something special. By 1887, Ed had outgrown the local leagues and took his first step toward professional baseball, signing with the Mansfield team in the Ohio State League. And that same year, recognizing his talent, the team decided to bump him up to the minor leagues. He joined a club in Wheeling, West Virginia, where he'd put his power-hitting ability on full display, impressing everyone who saw him at bat. Scouts and fans alike couldn't take their eyes off him, and soon, bigger teams started taking notice. One of those bigger teams was none other than the Philadelphia Phillies. They were so sure of Delahanty's potential that they paid $900, a significant sum back in the late 1880s, to secure his contract before the 1888 season. This was his entry into the major leagues and the beginning of what would become become an unforgettable career. Through the 1890s, Delahanty became a force to be reckoned with in Philadelphia. Playing as an outfielder for the Phillies, he quickly earned a reputation as one of the most powerful hitters in the league. Back then, the game wasn't full of home run hitters like today. In fact, the long ball was rare, but Delahanty, he made it his signature. Pitchers dreaded facing him because they knew that one wrong pitch could turn the game in a second. Fans flocked to see his power at the plate. He could change the energy of the entire stadium with a single swing. Ed Delahanty didn't just play baseball, he electrified it. He set the standard for future generations of power hitters, blazing a trail for the home run sluggers who'd follow in his footsteps. His impact went far beyond his stats. He inspired an era, proving that raw power and skill could define a player. So the next time you hear the term power hitter, remember Big Ed, the Cleveland kid who took baseball by storm and became one of the game's earliest legends. When the Philadelphia Phillies signed Ed Delahanty in 1888, they had big shoes to fill. They were still mourning the tragic loss of Charlie Ferguson, and Delahanty, with his powerful bat and immense promise, seemed like the perfect replacement. On May 22, 1888, he stepped onto the field for his first National League game, kicking off a journey that would see him play 74 games that season. Now, his debut season was a bit of a mixed bag. Delahanty batted a modest .228 with just one home run and 31 RBIs. But those numbers didn't quite tell the full story. The potential he showcased was undeniable. By his second season, he really started to hit his stride, raising his batting average to an impressive .293 over 56 games. You could feel the excitement building around him. In 1890, Delahanty took a bit of a detour when he signed with the newly formed Players League, a league that aimed to be run by the players themselves. It was an ambitious idea, but unfortunately, it collapsed after just one season. No worries for Ed, though he returned to the Phillies the following year, and this time, he was stepping into the role of starting left fielder. This was a position that allowed his natural power and agility to really shine. But let's be real, while Delahanty was a phenomenal player, his off-field behavior sometimes stole the spotlight. He had a notorious weakness for alcohol, which occasionally affected his performance. Yet when he was on his game, he was simply unstoppable. Just take a look at his standout season in 1892, when he hit an impressive .306 with 6 home runs and 91 RBIs. Those numbers not only made him one of the most exciting hitters in the league, but also solidified his status as a force to be reckoned with. One game that season became the stuff of legend. Picture this: St. Louis infielder George Pinckney, confident that Delahanty was about to lay down a bunt, charged in from third base, ready to snatch the ball. But in a split second, Delahanty swung hard instead. The ball rocketed off his bat with such force that it caught Pinckney completely off guard, ultimately breaking his ankle. Witnesses described the impact as if the ball had been shot from a cannon. Talk about a wake-up call. As Delahanty's legend grew, so did his reputation as one of baseball's most fearsome hitters. Despite his personal challenges, he continued to push forward, determined to make a name for himself in the sport. His story is a testament to resilience, proving that, even amidst struggles, greatness can shine through. So when you think about the history of baseball and its legendary hitters, remember Ed Delahanty, the man who not only filled a void, but also made an unforgettable mark in the game, leaving fans and players alike in awe of his power at the plate. Imagine this. It's July during the baseball season, and Delahanty is about to find himself at the center of one of the most bizarre incidents in baseball history, an event that would later be dubbed the most shameful home run of all time by authors Bruce Nash and Alan Zullo. It all went down during a game between Delahanty's Philadelphia Phillies and the Chicago White Stockings at the Huntington Street grounds. Now, this ballpark had its quirks, and one of the oddest features was what players referred to as the doghouse. It wasn't a kennel for stray pups, but rather a small storage area for the numbers of the manual scoreboard. It was one of those things you'd probably overlook until it became the scene of a jaw-dropping moment. So there's Cap Anson, one of the best hitters for the White Stockings, who launches a fly ball deep into center field. Delahanty races to make the catch, but then, bam, the ball takes a strange bounce, hits a pole, and plops right into the infamous doghouse. Talk about bad luck. Now Delahanty, determined not to let Anson get extra bases, tries to reach over the edge of the doghouse to snag the ball, but it's just out of his grasp. With no other choice, he decides to crawl into this cramped space, thinking he can grab it from inside. But here's where things go hilariously wrong. Delahanty gets stuck. He's wedged in there, arms outstretched but unable to retrieve the ball, while Anson is sprinting around the bases like a cheetah on a mission. The crowd is roaring with excitement as they watch this unusual play unfold. Meanwhile, Delahanty's teammate, Sam Thompson, realizes what's happening and rushes over to help. Imagine the scene. Delahanty struggling in the doghouse, while Thompson is tugging and pulling to get him free. It's like a scene out of a slapstick comedy. Finally, after what must have felt like an eternity, Delahanty wriggles out and finally gets his hands on the ball. But by then, it's too late. Anson has already crossed home plate, scoring one of the strangest home runs in baseball history. The whole stadium is in disbelief. You can just picture the mix of laughter and shock in the stands as the play becomes an instant legend. Delahanty's misfortune in the doghouse is remembered not just as a moment of embarrassment, but as a quintessential part of baseball lore. It serves as a reminder that sometimes the game can throw the most unexpected and downright ridiculous curveballs at you. So the next time you hear someone talk about strange moments in sports, you can bring up Ed Delahanty and the infamous doghouse incident. It's a perfect example of how unpredictable and wild baseball can be, keeping fans on their toes and ensuring there's never a dull moment. In 1893, Ed Delahanty truly solidified his place among baseball's elite hitters. That season, he posted an astounding .368 batting average, blasted 19 home runs, and racked up 146 RBIs. He was a force to be reckoned with at the plate, demonstrating an incredible ability to hit and drive in runs. It was a standout year for him, and he came heartbreakingly close to winning the coveted Triple Crown, a feat that eludes many great players. Unfortunately, he was edged out by his own teammates, Billy Hamilton and Sam Thompson, who led the league with .380 and 370 averages, respectively. Imagine being so good and still coming in third in your own locker room. But Delahanty's success didn't stop there. It only soared higher. Between 1894 and 1896, he posted some jaw-dropping numbers that fans still remember today. In 1894, he hit an incredible .407, with 4 home runs and 131 RBIs. But surprisingly, even that stellar average wasn't enough to snag him the batting title. Hugh Duffy stole it away with an astonishing .440 average. Just think about that. Delahanty hit over 400 and didn't win the title. The real magic that year, however, was the outfield he was a part of. Delahanty, along with Thompson, Hamilton, and Tuck Turner, formed a powerhouse trio with all 4 players batting over 400. Baseball historian Bill James later called it the greatest outfield of the 19th century. It's hard to overstate how remarkable that was. Imagine pitchers having to face that lineup. Talk about nightmares. Delahanty finally clinched his first batting title in 1899, hitting .410 with 9 home runs and 137 RBIs. He became the first player in Major League history to hit over 400 3 times, which is a record that still stands. That year, he made history again, achieving the unique distinction of having a game with 4 home runs and another with 4 doubles. One game that really stands out was on July 13, 1896, when he hit 4 home runs in a single game, 2 out of the park and 2 inside the park. But here's the kicker. Despite his incredible performance, the Phillies still lost that game 9-8. Delahanty became the first player ever to hit 4 home runs and still be on the losing side. Can you imagine the frustration? It's like giving the performance of a lifetime and still coming up short. 3 years later, he also set another record by hitting 4 doubles in a single game, yet another feat that has yet to be matched in baseball history. His talent was undeniable, and in 1899, he even strung together 10 consecutive hits, showcasing his consistent power and skill. After Delahanty made the switch to the New American League in 1902, he joined the Washington Senators and had a fantastic season, hitting an impressive .376. This was a pivotal moment for him, as he recognized that his time in baseball was limited. In an interview following the 1902 season, Delahanty spoke candidly about his situation. He said, "I know I am getting along in years and won't be able to last much longer in first-class baseball. Therefore, I am going to get all the money there is in sight. Last year, I was playing with the Phillies for $3,000, but this season, the Washington club gave me $4,000. If I can get $5,000, no one can blame me for taking it." His practical mindset highlighted a reality many players faced at that time, the fleeting nature of athletic careers. Delahanty knew he needed to secure his financial future while he could. In 1903, he returned to the Senators for another season, where he continued to showcase his talent. In just 42 games, he was hitting .333 with 1 home run and 21 RBIs. It was clear he still had plenty of skill left on the field, and fans were excited to see what he could do next. Over an impressive 16-season career with teams like the Philadelphia Phillies, Cleveland Indians, and Washington Senators, Ed Delahanty truly left his mark on baseball history. His lifetime batting average of .346 ranks him 5th all-time in Major League history. Isn't that something? Just think about the legends ahead of him. Guys like Ty Cobb at .366, Rogers Hornsby at .358, Joe Jackson at .356, and Lefty O'Doul at .349. Delahanty's stats are remarkable too. He hit 101 home runs and drove in an impressive 1,464 RBIs. Delahanty was no stranger to leading the league either. He topped the charts in slugging percentage and runs batted in 3 times each. Can you imagine how intimidating it must have been for pitchers facing him? And get this, he hit over 400 not once, not twice, but 3 times. Those years were 1894, 1895, and 1899. That's an elite group to be part of. In fact, only one other player, Rogers Hornsby, has matched that feat in National League history when he hit 400 in 1922 and again in 1924, 1925. Beyond the impressive numbers, Delahanty's legacy really extends into popular culture and history. For example, in 2008, the band The Baseball Project honored him with a song titled The Death of Big Ed Delahanty on their album Volume 1, Frozen Ropes and Dying Quails. This punk-influenced ballad pays tribute not just to his life, but also to the tragic circumstances surrounding his end. It's fascinating how music can keep stories alive, isn't it? In 1945, he was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame, a fitting tribute to his remarkable career. And here's a fun fact. He's part of the most prominent group of siblings ever to play in the major leagues. His brothers, Frank, Jim, Joe, and Tom, each made their mark in the sport too. Together, they created a remarkable chapter in baseball history, further solidifying Ed Delahanty's place among the legends of the game. Well, that brings us to the end of the video. Make sure to subscribe to Baseball Icon so that you never miss an update.
The realization of a goal and a dream, but I didn't do anything any different. I'm a very structured, regimented person. Every day I did almost the same thing to prepare for a start.
Don Sutton, a legendary Major League Baseball pitcher, faced occasional accusations of doctoring baseballs with foreign substances. Despite these controversies, Sutton was celebrated for his consistency, durability, and relentless dedication throughout his remarkable 23-year career. His impressive performance earned him a place in the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1998, solidifying his legacy as one of the sport's most respected players. Before we dive in any further, please subscribe to the channel. Oh, and don't forget to hit the like. One of the biggest controversies around Sutton was his reputation for doctoring baseballs. Throughout his career, Sutton was repeatedly accused of using foreign substances to change the way the ball moved, giving him an extra edge on the mound. Using materials like sandpaper or Vaseline to manipulate the ball's movement was strictly against the rules, but some players tried it to gain an advantage. Rather than outright denying the accusations, Sutton took a different approach. He never really confirmed or denied it. Instead, he seemed to lean into the image of a crafty pitcher who used his smarts, not just raw power, to succeed. This crafty reputation became a bit of a badge of honor for him, and it gave him a unique image that set him apart from other pitchers. However, it didn't come without consequences. Some opposing players saw it as cheating, and it led to tense moments with umpires and rival teams. Despite the accusations and raised eyebrows, Sutton was rarely penalized for these alleged tactics, and he continued to pitch with the same style that had served him well. His ability to play in the gray areas made him a fascinating character in baseball, and while it brought some controversy, it also added to the legend surrounding his career. Another part of Sutton's career that stirred up some controversy was his outspoken personality, especially when he transitioned into broadcasting after retiring from playing. Sutton was never shy about speaking his mind, whether he was on the field or in the broadcast booth. As a commentator, he had a reputation for being blunt and unfiltered. He wasn't afraid to share his honest opinions, even if it meant criticizing players, managers, or decisions he didn't agree with. Sutton's style made him an engaging personality to listen to, but it sometimes rubbed people the wrong way. Within the baseball community, his frankness didn't always sit well. Some felt that he crossed the line with his critiques, while others thought he was simply telling it like it is. Either way, his comments often sparked debate and even tension at times. Despite the controversies surrounding him, Sutton was widely admired for his remarkable dedication to baseball. Known as one of the most durable and consistent pitchers of his time, Sutton was the kind of player fans could always count on to take the mound. Over his incredible 23-season career, he racked up an impressive 324 wins, a feat few pitchers ever reach. Even though he faced accusations and clashes over his career, those who followed him closely knew he always put the game first, showing up ready to compete and help his team. His impressive record and resilience earned him a well-deserved spot in the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1998. solidifying his place among baseball's greatest. He was born on April 2nd, 1945, in Clio, Alabama, a small town in Barber County. Growing up, Sutton learned a lot from his father, who instilled in him a strong work ethic that would carry him throughout his life and career. Sutton attended J.M. Tate High School, where he was a standout athlete, excelling in baseball, basketball, and football. On the baseball field, he led his team to the small school state finals twice, winning during his junior year in 1962 and narrowly losing 2-1 in his senior year. He was honored as All-County, All-Conference, and All-State for both seasons, proving to be one of the most promising young athletes around. By the time he graduated in 1963, he'd even earned the title of Most Likely to Succeed. Although Sutton hoped to play baseball at the University of Florida, the coach at the time, Dave Fuller, wasn't interested in recruiting him. Undeterred, Sutton attended Gulf Coast Community College in Panama City for a year, then moved on to Whittier College in California. A strong summer league performance there finally got the attention of the Los Angeles Dodgers, who signed him, launching Sutton's path to becoming one of baseball's most respected players. Sutton's journey to the major leagues started with the Sioux Falls Packers in South Dakota. By age 21, he had made his big league debut with the Los Angeles Dodgers on April 14, 1966. As a young pitcher, Sutton joined a powerhouse Dodgers rotation alongside legends Sandy Koufax, Don Drysdale, and Claude Austin. Sutton later said that playing with Koufax and Drysdale was the best thing that could have happened for him, as they helped him improve as a pitcher. He finished his rookie season with 209 strikeouts, the highest total for a rookie since 1911. Though the Dodgers made it to the World Series that year, Sutton didn't pitch, and the team lost to the Baltimore Orioles. Throughout the 1970s, Sutton became a regular All-Star, earning 4 selections. In 1974, he was a key part of the Dodgers' run to the World Series after winning 102 regular season games. Sutton won 2 games against the Pirates in the playoffs and was the only Dodgers pitcher to win a game in the World Series, though the team lost to the Oakland A's. Sutton's best season came in 1976 with a standout 21-10 record, and in 1977, he was named the MVP of the All-Star Game. That year, he also pitched in the World Series, though the Dodgers lost to the Yankees. One of the few bumps in Sutton's career came in 1978, when he got into a fight with teammate Steve Garvey over media attention. Despite this, Sutton continued to shine on the mound, although he struggled in the postseason that year, giving up 14 runs in 17 innings as the Dodgers lost to the Yankees once more. After the 1980 season, the Dodgers made Sutton a free agent, but his time there left a mark. He set a team record for career wins. In the 1980 free agent draft, Sutton was a hot commodity, drawing interest from 10 teams, including the Yankees and Astros. Sutton chose Houston, partly because he wanted to pitch in the Astrodome, known for being pitcher-friendly. The 1981 season started well for Sutton, but a knee injury in October ended his season, just as the Astros were nearing the playoffs. In 1982, Sutton wanted to return to Southern California, but the Astros traded him to the Milwaukee Brewers instead. This trade shocked some players, including Astros Ray Knight, who praised Sutton's consistency and durability. Sutton quickly became a key part of the Brewers, helping them reach the World Series that year. Though the Brewers lost, Sutton's pitching was essential to their playoff run. Sutton's 1983 season with the Brewers was challenging, as he posted his lowest win total to date, but he bounced back in 1984 with an improved record. In 1985, he was traded to the Oakland A's, but hesitated, hoping for a move closer to home. After finally joining Oakland, he was traded to the California Angels in September, inching closer to his goal of 300 career wins. He achieved this milestone in 1986 with a complete game win against the Texas Rangers. Sutton returned to the Dodgers in 1988, though the season was clouded by controversy. Angels pitcher John Candelaria accused Sutton of tipping off police about his drinking, leading to Sutton's release in August. Despite the ups and downs, Sutton retired with some unusual records, including most at-bats without a home run and the Dodgers' franchise record for wins. Sutton began his broadcasting career in 1989, splitting his time between Dodgers games on Z Channel and Braves games on TBS. In 1990, he became a full-time Braves commentator. Despite battling kidney and lung cancer in the early 2000s, Sutton continued his work. After brief stints with the Nationals, he returned to Atlanta in 2009 to join Braves Radio, partnering with Jim Powell. In 1997, Sutton appeared on the Hall of Fame ballot for the 4th time. Although he'd expressed his wish to make it to the Hall, he missed election by just 9 votes that year. In 1998, Sutton was finally inducted into the Hall of Fame, the only player that year to receive the honor. Later that year, the Dodgers retired his number 20. Sutton's broadcasting career earned him a place in the Braves Hall of Fame in 2015, joining his mentors, legendary broadcasters Ernie Johnson, Skip Carey, and Pete Van Wieren. Honoring his legacy further, U.S. Highway 29 was named Don Sutton Highway, and a youth baseball complex near his childhood home in Molino, Florida, also bears his name. Sutton passed away on January 19, 2021, at the age of 75 after a tough battle with cancer. His loss was deeply felt across the baseball world, as players, fans, and broadcasters alike remembered him not only as a skilled pitcher, but as a memorable personality. Well, that brings us to the end of today's video. Make sure to subscribe to Baseball Icons so that you never miss an update. Thurman Munson, the legendary MLB catcher for the New York Yankees, tragically lost his life in a fiery plane crash, a sudden and devastating end that rocked the sports world and left the Yankees mourning the loss of their fearless leader. Known for his toughness and clutch performances on the diamond, Munson's death off the field marked the end of a promising career. Before we dive in any further, please subscribe to the channel. Oh, and don't to hit that like button. Tragically, Munson's life came to an untimely end in a plane crash in 1979. While there wasn't a major controversy tied to the incident, the circumstances of the crash and the investigation that followed did spark a lot of discussion about safety protocols and pilot training. On the afternoon of August 2nd, Munson was at the Akron-Canton Regional Airport practicing takeoffs and landings with 2 companions, his flight instructor, Dave Hall, and his friend and business partner, Jerry Anderson. Munson, an avid pilot, had already completed 3 touch-and-go landings on runway 23 that day. But as he approached for a 4th and final landing, this time on runway 19, something went tragically wrong. Munson didn't extend the flaps, a critical step that helps slow the plane and improve lift during landing. This caused the aircraft to sink too low. He tried to increase engine power to recover, but it was too late. The plane clipped a tree, crashed into a tree stump, and came to a fiery stop about 870 feet short of the runway. Hall and Anderson managed to escape the wreckage, but not without injuries. Both suffered severe burns. Munson, however, was trapped in the cockpit. At first, they thought it was the crushed fuselage pinning him down. Despite their desperate efforts, they couldn't free him before flames engulfed the cockpit. Tragically, Munson died from inhaling superheated air and toxic smoke. Later, investigators revealed he had also suffered a spinal fracture in the crash, leaving him paralyzed and unable to escape. The National Transportation Safety Board investigated and found that Munson's crash was caused by a combination of factors. He hadn't maintained enough airspeed to prevent the plane from stalling and didn't follow proper procedures for the landing approach. Crucially, he didn't use a checklist, which might have prevented some of the errors. He also wasn't wearing his shoulder harness, which made his injuries worse. Despite the tragic outcome, Anderson credited Munson's calm under pressure for saving their lives. Thurman flew that airplane to the last nanosecond, he said. He never panicked. He saved us. Munson's death wasn't just a heartbreaking loss for baseball fans. It was a stark reminder of the importance of preparation, safety, and focus in aviation. One of the controversies surrounding his career was his infamous clash with Reggie Jackson. When Jackson joined the New York Yankees in 1977, it wasn't all smooth sailing, especially when it came to his relationship with team captain Munson. Munson was a no-nonsense leader, respected for his toughness and work ethic. Jackson, on the other hand, was larger than life, known for his confidence and outspoken personality. Naturally, their strong personalities clashed at first, creating tension in the Yankees clubhouse. The drama began when Jackson gave an infamous interview with Sport magazine, where he referred to himself as the straw that stirs the drink. While he denied it later, the article implied that Jackson didn't see Munson as a true leader. It was a comment that reportedly didn't sit well with Munson or the rest of the team, who were fiercely loyal to their captain. For a while, it seemed like the two stars might not be able to coexist, but baseball has a way of bringing even the most unlikely people together. Despite their differences, Munson and Jackson both wanted to win. Over time, they found common ground and developed a working relationship built on mutual respect. Munson recognized Jackson's ability to deliver in the clutch, and Jackson admired Munson's dedication to the team. By the time the Yankees were winning back-to-back World Series in 1977 and 1978, any lingering tension seemed to fade into the background. They weren't best friends, but they understood each other's roles and shared a fierce determination to succeed. Munson was born on June 7, 1947 in Akron, Ohio. He was the youngest of 4 children in a hard-working blue-collar family. Baseball quickly became a big part of Munson's life, thanks to his older brother Dwayne. Dwayne taught Thurman how to play and introduced him to the game by letting him join in with kids who were 4 years older. Even at a young age, Thurman was holding his own, showing the competitive fire and talent that would define his future. When Dwayne left to join the Air Force during Thurman's freshman year of high school, it likely pushed Munson to take his sports ambitions even more seriously. At Lehman High School, Munson was the definition of a star athlete. He captained the football, basketball, and baseball teams, excelling in all 3 sports. In football, he played halfback, showcasing his strength and agility. On the basketball court, he was a guard, leading his team with grit and determination. And in baseball, where he truly shined, he played shortstop for most of his high school career. It wasn't until his senior year that Munson made the switch to catcher, a move that would change his life forever. The decision came because his team had a standout pitcher, Jerome Pruitt, and Munson's strong arm and quick reflexes made him the best choice to handle Pruitt's talent. Little did anyone know, this last-minute switch would set the foundation for Munson's rise to becoming one of the greatest catchers in baseball history. Munson's talent didn't go unnoticed as he wrapped up high school. Colleges from all over offered him scholarships, but he chose to stay close to home and attend Kent State University. There, he continued to shine, playing alongside future MLB pitcher and broadcaster Steve Stone. Munson's leadership and skill on the field made him a standout. During the summer of 1967, he took his game to the Cape Cod Baseball League, one of the most prestigious summer leagues for college players. He joined the Chatham A's and immediately made his mark, batting an incredible .420 for the season. Munson's performance was so dominant that he led Chatham to their first league championship. His success on Cape Cod wasn't just a highlight of his college career, it became part of his legacy. To honor Munson's remarkable season in the career that followed, the league created the Thurman Munson Batting Award, given each year to the player with the league's highest batting average. In 2000, Munson was also inducted into the inaugural class of the Cape Cod Baseball League Hall of Fame, cementing his place in the history of the league that helped shape his path to greatness. Munson's journey to the big leagues kicked into high gear when the New York Yankees selected him with the 4th overall pick in the 1968 MLB draft. It was clear the Yankees saw something special in him, and Munson didn't disappoint. In his only full season in the minors, he played for the Binghamton Triplets, the Yankees' Double-A team, and put up impressive numbers. He batted .301, hit 6 home runs, and drove in 37 runs. That year, Munson got his first taste of Yankee Stadium when Binghamton played an exhibition game against the Yankees. It was a moment that hinted at the greatness to come. The following year, Munson was absolutely tearing it up for the Syracuse Chiefs, batting a blistering .363. His performance left the Yankees with no choice. They called him up to the big leagues in 1969. Munson made his big league debut on August 8, 1969, in the second game of a doubleheader against the Oakland Athletics. Right away, he showed he belonged in the majors, going 2 for 3 with a walk, driving in a run, and scoring twice. Just 2 days later, he hit his first career home run in style. It was part of 3 straight Yankees homers off Lou Krause Jr. in a 5-1 win over the A's. Munson finished the 1969 season batting .256 with 1 home run and 9 RBIs in 97 plate appearances. Despite his strong debut, he didn't play enough to lose his rookie status, setting the stage for an official breakout in 1970. At the time, the Yankees were splitting catching duties between Jake Gibbs and Frank Fernandez, but things were about to change. That offseason, Fernandez was traded to the A's, and Munson stepped up as the team's starting catcher. He didn't just step up, he soared. Munson batted .302, hit 7 home runs, and drove in 57 runs. He was also a defensive force, racking up 80 assists behind the plate. His stellar all-around performance earned him the 1970 American League Rookie of the Year award, solidifying his place as the Yankees' new cornerstone. It was clear by then, Munson wasn't just a rookie, he was a future star. Munson's star continued to rise in the early 1970s, solidifying him as one of the game's best catchers. In 1971, he earned the first of 7 All-Star selections, though he didn't get a chance to bat, catching the final 2 innings. That season, Munson's defense stood out as he committed just one error the entire year. The lone mistake came on June 18th when Andy Etchebarren of the Baltimore Orioles knocked him unconscious in a collision at the plate, forcing the ball loose. Despite that moment, Munson's defensive stats were stellar. Only 9 pass balls and an impressive 61% caught stealing rate, throwing out 36 of 50 would-be base stealers. Munson's grit extended to one of baseball's fiercest rivalries. He and Boston Red Sox catcher Carlton Fisk had a long-standing feud, fueled by constant comparisons and praise for Fisk that always seemed to irritate Munson. Their rivalry came to a boiling point on August 1st, 1973 at Fenway Park, in a play that symbolized the Yankees-Red Sox tension of the time. In the 9th inning, with the game tied 2-2, Munson tried to steal home on a missed bunt attempt by Gene Michael. Fisk, in the thick of the action, elbowed Michael out of the way and braced for Munson, who charged straight into him. Fisk held onto the ball, but the collision sparked chaos. As Felipe Alou attempted to advance from first during the scuffle, both benches cleared for a 10-minute brawl. Munson and Fisk were both ejected, further cementing their heated rivalry. In 1973, Munson's all-around game reached another level. He earned his second All-Star nod, won his first Gold Glove award, and turned up his offensive power, hitting 300 and a career-high 20 home runs. By 1974, he was voted as a starter for the All-Star game for the first of 3 straight seasons, delivering a solid performance with a hit, a walk, and a run scored. On June 24, 1975, Munson found himself in the middle of a heated confrontation with Baltimore Orioles pitcher Mike Torres. It all started when Torres hit Munson with a pitch in the first inning, then gave up a single to him in the 4th, but the tension didn't end there. Torres threw another pitch up near Munson's head in the 6th. By the time Munson came to bat in the 8th, the umpire had warned Torres not to throw any more brushback pitches. Instead of backing down, Torres blew kisses toward Munson, a move that sparked the benches to clear. Although no punches were thrown, the altercation didn't stop there. After Munson grounded out, he charged the mound, showing just how fiery he could be when provoked. That same season, Munson had a career year, batting a remarkable .318, which ranked 3rd in the league behind Rod Carew and Fred Lynn. But 1976 would be even bigger for Munson. For the start of the season, the Yankees named him their first-team captain since Lou Gehrig, a huge honor that showed how much the organization trusted him to lead. Munson responded in the best way possible. By having an incredible year, he batted .302 with 17 home runs and 105 RBIs, winning the American League MVP award. His performance helped the Yankees make their first World Series appearance since 1964. In the American League Championship Series, Munson was on fire, batting .35 with 3 RBIs and 3 runs scored, leading the Yankees to a 3-2 series win over the Kansas City Royals. He carried that momentum into the World Series against the Cincinnati Reds, hitting a scorching .529 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. In the final game of the series, already down 3-0, Munson went 4 for 4 at Yankee Stadium, trying to spark a comeback. Though the Yankees were ultimately swept by the Big Red Machine, Munson's 6 consecutive hits across games 3 and 4 tied a World Series record, showing his resilience and determination. Despite Munson's heroic efforts, the World Series MVP went to Reds catcher Johnny Bench. When reporters compared the two catchers, Reds manager Sparky Anderson had some harsh words for Munson, saying, "You don't ever compare anybody to Johnny Bench." Munson, who had heard the comments as he entered the press room, didn't hold back. According to sports writer Moss Klein, Munson ripped into Anderson, defending his skills and making it clear that he wasn't one to be underestimated. In 1977, Munson had another great year, batting .308 with 100 RBIs, becoming the first catcher to bat 300 and drive in over 100 RBIs in 3 straight seasons since Yankees legend Bill Dickey. The Yankees defended their American League title, defeating the Los Angeles Dodgers in the World Series. Munson played a key role, batting .320 with a home run and catching 4 of 6 potential stealers to shut down the Dodgers' speed. The next year, in the 1978 ALCS against the Royals, Munson hit the longest home run of his career, a 475-foot blast to give the Yankees a key win. The Yankees went on to win the World Series again, with Munson batting .320 and making a crucial catch to end the series. By then, Munson had secured his place in history, becoming just the second catcher after Johnny Bench to win a Rookie of the Year, MVP, Gold Glove, and World Series title. But by 1979, the wear and tear of catching was taking its toll. The Yankees were struggling, and Munson, who had been dealing with homesickness and considering retirement, was overlooked for the All-Star team. He was also quietly asking for a trade back to Cleveland to be closer to his family. It was a tough year, both for Munson and the Yankees. The day after Munson's tragic death in 1979, the New York Yankees honored their fallen captain in a powerful pregame ceremony before a 4-game series against the Baltimore Orioles. As the team took their positions on the field, the catcher's box remained empty. Fans in Yankee Stadium stood in silence, offering an emotional 8-minute standing ovation in memory of Munson. The next day, on August 6th, the entire team attended Munson's funeral in his hometown of Canton, Ohio. Teammates Lou Piniella and Bobby Mercer, who were close friends with Munson, gave heartfelt eulogies to the gathering of 700 mourners. That same evening, the Yankees honored Munson's memory by beating the Orioles in an emotional 5-4 win, with Mercer driving in all 5 runs. In the wake of his death, Yankee owner George Steinbrenner immediately retired Munson's number 15. A plaque was later dedicated to him in Monument Park, and his locker, along with his bronze catching gear, was preserved as a tribute at the Baseball Hall of Fame. Munson's legacy also lives on with a street named Thurman Munson Way in the Bronx, and his number 15 displayed proudly at both Yankee Stadium and Thurman Munson Stadium in Canton. Well, that brings us to the end of today's video. Make sure to subscribe to Baseball Icons so that you never miss an update.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can only start by saying you're looking at one very proud individual.
Willie Stargell's untimely death, partly attributed to complications related to his struggles with addiction, cast a shadow over the world of sports. Known for his powerful presence on the field, Stargell was a cornerstone of the Pittsburgh Pirates and a unifying force through his positivity and charisma. His inspiring leadership was instrumental in the Pirates' World Series victories in 1971 and 1979. His passing left Pirates fans and the entire baseball community deeply saddened, mourning the loss of a true legend. Before we proceed, please subscribe to the channel. Stargell, the beloved baseball legend, passed away on April 9, 2001, at the age of 61. For years, Stargell had been bravely battling kidney disease, which took a toll on his health. Sadly, complications from a stroke led to his passing. In a heartbreaking coincidence, his death fell on the very same day that the Pittsburgh Pirates opened their new stadium, PNC Park. For fans, that day was supposed to be a celebration of a fresh chapter for the Pirates. But the news of Stargell's passing cast a shadow over the event. It felt like the end of an era. Stargell was more than just a player. He was a hero to Pittsburgh, a true leader, and the kind of player who could lift up his team and inspire fans across generations. Known for his powerful home runs and the warmth he brought to the team, he earned the nickname Pops, becoming a beloved figure both on and off the field. In 1985, Stargell found himself in a challenging and unexpected spotlight when he testified in Pittsburgh's high-profile drug trial, which involved several former Pirates players. During his testimony, Stargell admitted that he had used cocaine and amphetamines at certain points in his career. However, he firmly denied any involvement in distributing drugs to his teammates. For some, hearing this confession from a hero like Stargell was a shock, and it did impact how a few people viewed him. Yet many others, including fans and former teammates, stood firmly by his side. They respected him for being open and taking responsibility for his actions. In 1959, Stargell signed with the Pittsburgh Pirates and began his journey in the minor leagues. His path took him through various farm teams across the country, but life on the road wasn't easy for a young black player in those times. Stargell faced segregation in many of the towns he played in. He couldn't stay in the same hotels as his white teammates and had to lodge in rundown, segregated neighborhoods. In one frightening incident in Plainview, Texas, a man even threatened him at gunpoint, warning him not to play that night. Despite the threat, Stargell took the field, and fortunately, nothing happened. Stargell debuted in the majors at 22, joining the Pittsburgh Pirates at the end of the 1962 season. His rookie year in 1963 was modest, but he bounced back in 1964 as a full-time player, splitting time between left field and first base. That year, Stargell made his mark by hitting the first-ever home run at Shea Stadium and earning his first of 7 All-Star Game selections. Despite struggles with conditioning, once arriving at spring training at 235 pounds, Stargell was a powerhouse, improving his fitness over time. By 1969, he had an impressive season, hitting .307 with 29 home runs and 92 RBIs. Stargell's career truly began to soar in 1970. That year, he hit .264 with 31 home runs and 85 RBIs, finishing 15th in MVP voting. On August 1st, during a televised Saturday game of the week, Stargell made history by becoming just the third player ever to record 5 extra base hits in one game. That season, the Pirates clinched the National League East title, their first postseason appearance since 1960. In 1971, Stargell took his game to a new level. He won his first of 2 home run titles, hitting 48 homers, just beating Hank Aaron's 47. Though he finished second in MVP voting, he helped lead the Pirates to a World Series victory over the Baltimore Orioles, earning his place as a cornerstone of the team. Over the next few seasons, Stargell continued to shine. In 1973, he led the league in both home runs and doubles, a rare feat not seen since Hank Greenberg in 1940. He narrowly missed the MVP award again, but solidified his place as one of the league's best. By 1975, he had moved permanently to first base and hit his 400th career home run 2 years later. In 1978, Stargell introduced Stargell Stars, awarding embroidered stars on teammates' caps for outstanding plays or games, uniting the team. That season, the Pirates made a fierce comeback, but fell just short of the division title. Stargell, however, predicted they would win it all the next year, and he was right. In 1979, the Pirates, inspired by the song We Are Family, powered through the season with Stargell as their captain and inspiration. He led them to the World Series, where they defeated the Orioles in 7 games. At age 39, Stargell was named MVP of the NLCS, the World Series, and finally won the league MVP award, making him the only player ever to earn all 3 in a single season. He shared Sports Illustrated's Sportsman of the Year title with Terry Bradshaw, becoming a Pittsburgh icon both on and off the field. Stargell played until 1982, though injuries limited him to no more than 74 games per season after 1979. Despite playing much of his career at Forbes Field, with its tough 457-foot center field, Stargell still retired with 475 home runs. Hall of Famer Roberto Clemente even estimated that Stargell hit about 400 balls to the warning track at Forbes. When the Pirates moved to Three Rivers Stadium in 1970, Stargell's power numbers rose, and he claimed 2 home run titles there. His last game was on October 3, 1982, when he led off with a single before exiting to a warm farewell. Stargell's power at the plate was legendary. At one point, he held the record for the longest home run in nearly half the National League parks. On August 5, 1969, he launched a 507-foot homer out of Dodger Stadium, and then hit another out of the stadium in 1973. Dodgers pitcher Don Sutton once said of Stargell, "He doesn't just hit pitchers, he takes away their dignity." Stargell also hit record-breaking shots at other parks, including a 535-foot blast at Montreal's Olympic Stadium, where the seat it landed in was painted yellow to honor his achievement. In Pittsburgh, his home runs were celebrated by Pirates fans and radio announcer Bob Prince, who famously called out "Chicken on the Hill" when Stargell hit one. This referred to Stargell's restaurant in Pittsburgh's Hill District, which would give away free chicken to customers whenever he homered, a promotion known as Chicken on the Hill with Will. Stargell's power at the plate was truly something to behold. He hit 7 of the 18 home runs ever to clear the 86-foot-high right field stands at Forbes Field, and also crushed several towering shots at Three Rivers Stadium. At 6'3" with long arms, he had a unique way of holding the bat, gripping only the knob with his lower hand, which gave him extra extension and power in his swing. His swings were built for long, Ruthian home runs. While most players used a lead-weighted bat in the on-deck circle, Stargell warmed up with a sledgehammer. In the batter's box, he'd windmill his bat until the pitcher started his windup, making his presence known. In 1982, the Pirates retired Stargell's number 8 in his honor. Then in 1988, he was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame, cementing his legacy as one of the game's greats. Well, that brings us to the end of today's video. Make sure to subscribe to Baseball Icons so that you never miss an update.